Hello, and welcome to the Toshogu Podcast, where we break down the latest news, breakthroughs, and ideas shaping the future of artificial intelligence. So today we're exploring a massive shift in the AI landscape. Well, the battlefield is definitely moving away from just, who has the smartest model to who has the absolute deepest pockets, the best distribution networks, and the most reliable infrastructure. Let's begin.
Yeah, it really is a completely new era for the industry. I mean, for a long time, the entire conversation was just about the raw intelligence of these systems.
Right.
Who has the highest benchmark scores or who has the most parameters.
Yeah, it was all about the IQ.
Yeah, all about the IQ.
Yeah.
But intelligence it's rapidly becoming just one single piece of a much, much larger, highly industrialized puzzle.
And to really understand where we are actually heading, we have to look at the sheer scale of the money moving around right now. Because capital itself has become a direct competitive weapon.
Yeah.
It's no longer just operational overhead.
Yeah.
Right? And the perfect illustration of this literally just happened with Alibaba.
Oh, yeah, the equity placement.
Yeah, they priced a massive equity placement in Hong Kong. We are talking about 80 billion Hong Kong dollars.
Which is just staggering.
It's wild. It translates to roughly 10.2 billion US dollars.
And so for those of us who aren't on Wall Street, a primary follow-on offering basically means they're printing new shares to get cash, correct?
That's right.
So why do that instead of just getting a traditional loan? Like, why not just borrow the 10 billion?
Well, that is the mechanical reality of it, and the reason they do it tells you everything about the stakes right now.
Okay.
Because when a company takes on $10 billion in debt, they have to pay interest on that debt.
Right, which eats into the margins.
Exactly. It eats into their quarterly profit margins instantly. But by issuing a primary follow-on offering, they are creating new shares and selling them to the public or to institutions.
So it dilutes it. Yes, it dilutes the ownership, the current shareholders. It makes their slice of the pie a little smaller. And a company only willingly dilutes its own ownership if they believe the cash they're raising will grow the overall size of the pie so massively and so quickly that the dilution is worth it.
I see. Okay, so let's unpack this, because the analogy that keeps coming to mind here is like a wartime economic mobilization.
Very much so.
They aren't just dipping into their checking account to buy a few more servers. They're restructuring their entire balance sheet, and they're taking a hit on near-term earnings specifically to fund full-stack AI capabilities.
And they are explicitly earmarking 100% of those net proceeds for this one technological initiative.
100%.
100%. All of it. And when a company of Alibaba's size goes to the market to raise over $10 billion with that kind of singular focus, it sends a chilling signal to the rest of the market.
I bet. I mean, if I'm a competitor, I'm terrified.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It tells competitors that the barrier to entry in the foundational AI space it's astronomical. But the financial mechanics get even more interesting when you look at their projections.
What do you mean?
Well, despite this massive upfront spend, Alibaba's management actually accelerated their expected payback period for this AI investment.
Accelerated it?
Yeah, they brought it down from 3 years to roughly 2.5 years.
Wait, that feels completely counterintuitive. I mean, if you spend $10 billion, common sense dictates it takes much longer to make that money back, right?
You would assume so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it reveals their underlying strategy. They aren't funding speculative, open-ended research lab projects anymore.
Right.
They are building commercial engines that generate revenue immediately. It means the period of treating AI like a cool science experiment is closing for the tech giants.
Right. They've found the product market fit.
Exactly. They found it. And now they are laying down the financial infrastructure to just dominate it.
And the craziest part is we didn't even have to wait long to see what that $10 billion war chest actually produces. I mean, just hours after this financial placement was announced, Alibaba rolled out WAN 3.0.
Oh, yeah. The video model.
Yeah, this is a video model that fundamentally changes the workflow. Like, it takes documents, spreadsheets, slides, web pages, and it transforms them into 30-second videos.
Which is nuts.
It's already being used in advertising and tourism film production. But I guess my question is, how does an AI actually do that? What is the mechanism that turns a literal Excel file into a video?
Right. It requires a massive leap in how the model processes information. Because up until very recently, the industry basically operated on a prompt media paradigm.
Prompt media, okay.
Yeah, where a human being has to act as the translation layer. So you read the spreadsheet, you figure out that, oh, sales are up in Q3.
Right. You find the story.
You find the story, you write a creative script about growth,
Yeah.
and then you prompt a video generator with specific visual descriptions, right? Like show a graph going up or show a happy team.
So you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. But 1.3.0 represents the shift to an asset-to-campaign transformation.
Asset to campaign. So it's skipping the human translation bottleneck entirely.
Completely. Mechanically, what happens is the AI ingests the foundational asset. So let's say a dense PDF report on a new ecotourism initiative.
Okay.
The system uses a language model to first parse the document and extract the core narrative arc and the statistical highlights. Then it autonomously generates a storyboard in its own latent space.
Wait, entirely on its own?
Entirely on its own. Deciding which visual metaphors best represent that specific data.
Yeah.
And finally, it routes those concepts to the video generation layer to render the final 30-second clip. So it actually understands the underlying relationships in the data, not just the text prompts.
Man, I look at that level of automation and I have to ask about the smaller players. If you are a lean AI startup right now, how on earth do you compete with that? I mean, you don't have $10 billion to dilute your shares, and you certainly don't have the compute to train a model that can autonomously storyboard an entire marketing campaign from a spreadsheet.
The harsh reality is that they simply cannot compete on capital intensity. They can't.
Yeah.
If a startup tries to build a foundational model from scratch to go head-to-head with Alibaba or OpenAI today, they will be crushed by the sheer weight of the compute costs alone.
So Alibaba's $10 billion essentially ensures they have the foundational intelligence. But if you're not a tech giant, your survival strategy has to pivot.
Right.
You have to license that intelligence. You take these massive commoditized models and you build highly specific pipelines around them. But that creates a huge vulnerability, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if the intelligence itself is being consolidated by just a few giants, then the actual pathways to access that intelligence become incredibly valuable.
Oh, absolutely. And that is the natural evolution of any major technology.
Yeah.
First you have the chaotic creation phase and then the consolidation phase where choke points start to emerge.
Right, the choke points.
Yeah, the most valuable control points are currently shifting toward the platforms that decide which models developers and users actually discover and route to and pay for.
And this perfectly sets up what NVIDIA is doing right now.
Oh, yes.
Because we are seeing reports that NVIDIA is in talks to invest in Perplexity at a valuation of over $30 billion.
$30 billion.
$30 billion, yeah. And I have to push back here, though, because NVIDIA makes chips.
Right.
They are a hardware company at their core. Why on earth are they valuing a consumer search product at $30 billion? It just feels like they are straying dangerously far out of their lane. Are they just inflating the AI bubble to ensure these software companies have enough cash to keep buying NVIDIA hardware?
I mean, that is a very common critique. But it fundamentally misreads NVIDIA's long-term strategy because standalone models are rapidly becoming commodities. And NVIDIA recognizes that while they currently own the raw materials, right, the compute layer.
Right, they own the chips.
Hardware dominance is historically cyclical.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, someone might figure out a cheaper, faster chip architecture. And to protect against that, they are aggressively moving up the stack to own the distribution and application layers.
So they want to become like the Apple App Store of AI.
Exactly.
They don't just want to sell the concrete for the roads. They want to own the checkout counter and the apps running on the phones.
That is a highly accurate assessment. By embedding themselves deeply into high-growth applications like Perplexity, they are ensuring that their hardware dominance translates into platform dominance.
Oh.
And look at the underlying metrics for Perplexity. I mean, their annualized revenue has exploded.
What are the numbers there?
Well, they went from under $250 million at the start of the year to over $750 million now.
Wait, from 250 to over 750 million in a few months.
In a matter of months.
Tripling your annualized revenue at that scale is just wild. But what is driving that? I mean, people aren't paying that kind of money just for a slightly better search engine?
No, they aren't. They are paying for Perplexity's new computer agent.
A computer agent.
Yeah, this is a massive shift from information retrieval to autonomous action. The computer agent doesn't just answer a question about, how to book a flight. It physically navigates the airline's website, inputs the data, and executes the booking on behalf of the user.
It actually clicks the buttons for you.
It clicks the buttons, it can run code, it can organize files, and it can handle complex multi-step workflows.
That's incredible.
So NVIDIA investing heavily here means they're securing a stake in the system that actually executes the final valuable action for the consumer.
Right, so it's securing their future ecosystem.
Exactly.
And they aren't the only ones realizing the value of these distribution choke points. Because concurrently, Hugging Face is exploring a sale that could value the company at $13 billion or more.
Yeah, that's another huge one.
And for those who might not be deep in the developer weeds, Hugging Face is essentially the GitHub of artificial intelligence. It's a central hub where developers go to find open source models, download massive data sets, and use infrastructure tools.
Right. It functions as a neutral coordination and distribution layer. They aren't selling a single proprietary AI model like Claude or ChatGPT.
But $13 billion for a coordination layer, that just seems incredibly steep for a platform that essentially just hosts other people's work.
Well, it seems steep until you realize that whoever owns the library dictates what books people read.
Oh, okay.
Hugging Face doesn't need to have the smartest model in the world. They just need to be the default starting page for every single AI developer on the planet.
Right, the gateway.
The gateway, exactly.
Wow.
Owning developer access and model distribution is a massive asset. It's no longer just a channel that you rent. It is a territory that you conquer.
Okay, so we have the capital funding the raw intelligence, right? And we have NVIDIA and Hugging Face fighting to control the distribution pipes that get that intelligence to the developers.
Right.
But having the smartest model and the best distribution network is entirely useless if the system crashes when a business needs it most.
Oh, man, which brings us to the most unsexy yet entirely critical competitive battleground in the industry today.
Reliability.
Yep.
Because overnight, Anthropic suffered a massive multi-model outage that lasted for roughly 3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hours. And this affected their absolute cutting-edge frontier models, so Opus 5, Fable 5, and Mythos 5. And look, 3 hours in the tech world, especially for a foundational API, is an absolute eternity.
It is completely paralyzing. And this isn't an isolated incident either. I mean, it follows several other service disruptions that their Claude models experienced throughout August.
I actually felt this yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, half of my daily workflow runs through Claude for data synthesis. And when I got that bad gateway error, I realized I had completely forgotten how to manually parse the complex data I was looking at.
You get so used to it.
I just stared at the screen. It was terrifying. And I'm just one person, you know. Think about the evolution of how we view these tools.
Right.
Because when AI was just a cool novelty, you know, when we were using it to write funny poems or generate pictures of astronauts riding horses, an outage was just a glitch.
Yeah. You refresh the page, go get a coffee, it's no big deal.
Right. But the context has completely shifted.
It has shifted from experimentation to full-blown enterprise dependency.
Yeah, now you have Fortune 500 companies hooking up their actual live customer-facing production systems to these APIs.
Exactly.
They are automating their customer support, their internal data analysis, their coding pipelines. When an API goes down now, it's not a glitch. It is a catastrophic blackout.
It's a blackout.
It is a real-world utility failing. If my smart light bulb doesn't turn on, it's annoying. If the city's power grid goes down, the entire economy stops.
And that utility analogy is the perfect lens for this.
Yeah.
Because AI products are graduating from being optional sidecar assistants to becoming mission-critical production systems.
Right.
And what this Anthropic outage demonstrates is that model quality, the raw IQ of the system, is no longer sufficient on its own.
But doesn't this mean the smartest model actually loses to the most stable model? I mean, you can have the highest IQ model on the planet, but if it's offline when I need to process 1 million customer transactions, I'm going to switch to a slightly dumber model that never crashes.
That is the exact calculus enterprise executives are making right now.
Really?
Yes. We're entering a phase where customers will increasingly judge AI infrastructure not just by its intelligence, but by its operational resilience. Uptime is rapidly replacing benchmark scores as the ultimate competitive mode.
Wow, so it really is just about staying online.
It is. Customers are demanding strict service-level agreements. They are evaluating providers on their graceful degradation capabilities.
Wait, explain graceful degradation in this context. How does that actually work for an enterprise system?
Sure. So in a traditional software environment, if a critical component fails, the entire application just crashes, right?
The blue screen of death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a system built with graceful degradation recognizes that the primary highly capable model, say Opus 5, is unreachable. So instead of throwing an error screen to the end user, the system automatically and instantly routes the request to a smaller, less capable, but locally hosted open source model.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the user might get a slightly less nuanced answer, but the application remains functional. It bends instead of breaking.
So companies are essentially building their own provider failover systems.
Yes.
Like if Claude goes down, the system just silently routes to an OpenAI model without the customer ever even noticing a disruption.
Precisely. Recovery behavior, latency, consistency provider failover. These purely infrastructural metrics dictate who wins the enterprise wars now. The frontier capability of Anthropic's models remains incredibly strong, like they are very smart.
Right.
But these repeated service incidents make reliability a highly visible, highly scrutinized vulnerability for them.
Okay, so what does this all mean when we put the pieces together? Because we've talked about massive capital restructuring balance sheets. We've talked about the fight for distribution choke points, and we've talked about the absolute necessity of reliability. It feels like the entire architecture of the AI industry is settling into a very rigid, defined structure.
It is. We're seeing a very clear competitive stack emerge, and it operates sequentially.
Okay, walk me through it.
So it starts with capital. You need billions in equity placement just to play the game right now.
Right, the Alibaba 10 billion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That capital builds the infrastructure, the massive server farms, and the foundational intelligence. Then once you have that, you need distribution to actually route those models to the end user.
Right, NVIDIA Hugging Face.
Yep. Then you need reliable execution to keep those users online when they actually use it. And finally, all that culminates in finished outcomes.
Finished outcomes, meaning the actual value generated for the customer. Like the 30-second commercial autonomously generated from Alibaba's 3.0.
Exactly. Or the automated customer service interaction executing a flight booking via Perplexity's computer agent.
Right.
And the most important strategic takeaway from this entire stack is this. Frontier intelligence, the raw smartness of the model, is becoming easier to access. It is fundamentally becoming a commodity.
Wow.
Think of it like laying down fiber optic cables in the 1990s. The initial digging and laying of the physical cables was incredibly expensive and capital intensive. It was handled by massive telecommunications giants.
Right, laying cables under the ocean and all that?
Exactly. But the real generational wealth wasn't made by the companies laying the cables. It was made by the internet companies that built software on top of that speed.
Okay, so if you are a builder out there or a company trying to figure out your AI strategy right now, the play is to completely abandon the idea of building a better foundational model unless you happen to have a spare $10 billion lying around.
That is exactly right. The smartest move right now is building above the model layer. Do not compete inside the model layer.
Right.
Assume the underlying intelligence will be cheap, ubiquitous, and reasonably smart. Your job is to build the application layer, the workflow automation, the unique user interfaces, and the specialized data integrations that sit on top of that intelligence.
So it's like you don't try to build a better internal combustion engine. You build a better luxury car around it.
Yes.
You focus on the leather seats, the seamless steering, the aerodynamics, and you just buy the engine from the giant factory down the road.
Exactly. The underlying engine will be provided by the tech giants who are fighting this brutal capital-intensive war. Let them fight it out. Let them spend the billions diluting their equity. You leverage their massive infrastructure to build the finished outcomes for the end consumer.
It really paints a very different picture of the future than the one we had even a year ago. It's less about a singular, omnipotent AI god brain and more about a highly industrialized, highly structured supply chain of intelligence.
It's the maturation of an industry. We are moving from bespoke craftsmanship to mass industrial production.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating paradox to consider. If frontier intelligence continues on this trajectory, if it becomes completely commoditized, widely distributed through these choke points, and perfectly invisibly reliable exactly like electricity or Wi-Fi, will the most valuable and dominant tech companies of the next decade be the ones that don't even advertise that they use AI at all? Because you don't brag that your software uses electricity, it's just assumed. That's all for today's episode of the Toshogu Podcast. If you enjoyed it, like this episode, subscribe, and join us next time for the latest in AI. Until then, keep building what outlives you.